Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Via Gateway. I'm John Vermillion. Not everything we experience leaves us when the experience is over. Some experience leave an imprint, some leave an attachment. Some continue to occupy our energetic field long after the physical experience has ended. This could be a place, a trauma. It could be linked to profound joy. It could be loss. Maybe you had a victory. Maybe a link to obsession that you have. These memories can often be a period of your life, or even an aspect of yourself that you thought you might have left completely behind. Sometimes these cords are created by others also, that you've allowed them to intentionally create. In the occult practice, these connections are really what people consider etheric cords. But what exactly are these cords? How do they form? And more importantly, how do we consciously release them? An energetic cord is a subtle energetic connection. This connection is really between any form of consciousness and an experience. This could be a person, a place, a thing, whether it be an object. It could be an event, maybe a place you lived. Oftentimes it's emotion. Maybe there's trauma behind it. This typically links into a memory and often plays off of our desires. I'm not saying that all attachments are negative. Positive attachments can exist too. The energetic imprint of the experience and how it affects you is really about the conscious or unconscious attachment that we have to it. We have to either be conscious or unconscious of those attachments to really see what they're doing. So really, an etheric cord is a way of giving form to an invisible relationship between consciousness and something it has become energetically entwined with or entangled with, like a web. Experiences don't necessarily end where the event ends. It creates an emotional charge. It comes with a mental imagery that lingers, and that memory forms repetition in the head. Through attention and desire, sometimes it brings fear, and that brings anticipation, anxiety. And then the experience becomes part of the internal energetic landscape of us. Even though the event might exist in the past, the energy we continue to give it still exists in the present. So if we bring in our cords of trauma and grief and fear, anger, obsession, shame, we're not giving credit to the attachments that are in the positive of love, your achievements, maybe your spiritual experiences, maybe nostalgia of your childhood or friendships you had or relationships. Desire. You could be attached to success and money. Maybe you're attached to your identity. These are all attachments, and all these attachments do form an etheric cord. So even positive experiences can become attachments. So attachment itself isn't the subject, and it's not whether something was good or bad. The occult question isn't simply, is the experience positive or negative? Get asked that a lot. The question is, am I still energetically bound to it? Do you feel that those triggers and those etheric cords are still binding you to processes that you have? Maybe binding you to emotional patterns of people, experiences with people, or traumas. We have to understand that the internal patterns are really based on our memories and emotional states. In my work, I call this the emotional triangle. And this triangle first starts with emotion, and then it creates a memory. And from a memory, we can understand an emotion or be triggered by an emotion. So the memory could trigger an emotion, or sometimes an emotion might trigger a memory. But what makes this a triangle is really understanding. And we really can't have understanding unless we see the memory and we see the emotion. Whether that's trauma, whether that's based on beliefs, maybe your habits, maybe part of your identity. These are things that typically keep carrying in you. And personal release is the process of identifying what has become attached to you. And then you're consciously releasing that relationship with it. A lot of times when release work is really important is when another consciousness becomes involved. If another person or another consciousness, whether even a spirit, or if you're in a relationship, whether it be emotional, whether it be romantic, or whether it be friendship, etheric cords are created. This comes with shared experiences, emotional exchange, unresolved communications, mutual influence, maybe shared energetic patterns. Maybe think alike. Wow, we think so much alike. We're so much alike. Well, examine your part. Examine their part. This is how we actually start understanding with these etheric chords and really what would need to be released. When we look at the attachments, we have to understand that attention feeds experience. And that if we keep repeating the same patterns, they strengthen. Our memory, like I said earlier, can create emotional states, but our emotional states can also trigger old memories. Unresolved experiences remain psychologically active, one way or the other, and identity can become attached to these experiences. Consciousness continually returns to the same point over and over and over again, cyclical, until you move past it. So sometimes we aren't holding on to the experience at all. We're holding on to the energy we've continued to give the experience. We're holding on to that energy. We're become attached to that energy that we're giving. And when we take these things into consideration, I want you all to think right now, who's watching this video, and maybe write it down on a piece of paper. Look at who you've had in your past, who may have hurt you, whether it be real or perceived. Look at the experience and write them down. Maybe you have a place that you used to live as a childhood that holds bad memories. Maybe you have a extremely great time in college and you remember those positive memories and it was a great time. Think about those, because what we're going to go over today in this video, in the major segment of this video, is understanding how we get through the proper release work. There are a lot of release work exercises out there, and a lot of them have different ways about doing it. Sometimes you're just cutting the cord that you see. Sometimes they tell you, hey, just visualize the cord between you, the person, the thing, and then cut it with the scissors. We're going to take the approach a little differently. And this is from my book, Asaya Kaluxa, which holds a certain release work exercise called interpersonal release work. And often I call it personal and interpersonal release work. And what this does is it works on a multifaceted level, which allows us to not only confront the person, place, or thing, but it also allows us to confront ourselves and what we've also experienced and the traumas and the overall residual emotional container that we've put ourselves in. And to start out with this exercise, it's really important to understand that what we're doing here is really connecting to somebody's energetic field. And we have to be comfortable being able to do that. Now, we don't exactly need their permission. Typically speaking, I would say yes. But if we're going at it this way, we really don't need to ask the permission because of the way we're going about the actual exercise. The exercise is typically pretty easy, and I will explain it step by step and how to enter the right state of consciousness to be able to pull it off properly. The first thing you want to do is definitely sit down in a comfortable, relaxed state, whether in a chair, on the ground. You can even lay in bed if you wanted to. I've done it standing up. Then take a look at, your breathing pattern. When I say take a look at it, notice if you're breathing shallow, if you're breathing fast, okay? And if you are, slow it down. Start forming very strong, deep breaths. Fill up your whole body. Hold that breath in, breathe it out, and slowly just move right into it. And then hold no breath for maybe 3 seconds. And then take another big breath. Absorb it into your whole body. Feel your body expand. And on the exhale, release it and feel yourself fall deeper, deeper into relaxation. You want to do this about 5 times. Once you feel in a very deep state of relaxation, the best thing to do is next visualize a royal blue circle. And when I say a royal blue circle, we want to look at it like a line of circle, almost like a halo. I don't mean like 2D vertically. It should be around you like a record player, as if your central nervous system or your spine is the center of the record. Within this circle, you want to hold a royal blue dot right at your third eye. And what I mean by that is I mean the center of your head. So not just at the brow, but in the center of your head, along the spinal column. And you want to hold the balance with this circle and dot. Now we can do this to every single one of our chakras. This is the best method to be able to balance and understand where you are energetically with each one of your chakras. But when we do it at the third eye, we're positioning ourselves into a state of vision and reception and actually psychic ability. And when we balance ourselves this way first, we're actually balancing both the right side and the left side of the brain, whether it's becoming more spiritual or logical, whether it's more creative or analytical. You might be more analytical than you are on the right. It's okay. But when we have balance, we're able to understand our energy a lot better. We're standing centered in it. Now, we see this a lot in magical invocation, where the circle is created and you're standing in the center of it. It's no different. This is the center of your circle, and you are the center of the circle. So once this is formed, hold this for a while, really balancing and holding it in balance. You might see it move. You might see it go to the left. You might see it go to the right. It might move backwards. It might be wobbly. Hold it as stable as you possibly can at the third eye. And you can see it as if the circle is outside of you. I like to see it as it's encompassing the whole inside of me. When you have done this, the next thing to do is start connecting to the person, place, or even thing. Okay. And when we do this exercise, I'm going to explain it as a person, but you can also do this to other things. You can also do it to animals. You want to bring the person into your mind in a thought form. Okay. Think of the person. But before you do anything after that, you want to surround yourself in a vibrant violet light. And violet's a really hard color, and the Violet Gateway definitely works with violet a lot. This is violet. So this color here is violet. And if you visualize this all around you, you are going to transmute and help protect you. You're also going to help transmute and protect the other person from you. Another thing to do is visualize a silver infinity symbol above your head, or you can also use gold. I prefer silver, but gold is also okay if you were able to visualize gold. And I will say gold is not yellow. So make sure you know how to use gold if you are visualizing the gold. This connects us to our higher aspects of ourselves. And this is why we don't really need to ask the permission to do the release work, because we're connecting first to our highest aspects within our own soul personality. Once we've established this connection to us, bring the person more into your mind. Okay, start seeing them, start forming them. Maybe pull up the whole experience that you had with them. You may relive it. You may see it. That's why you are protected first. When they finally come to your mind, surround them also in violet. Okay, surround them the same exact way. This protects them and also is going to filter the energy back and forth, just like we were saying before. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to not feel the energy that you feel right away. Okay, you kind of want to maintain a little bit of a energetic connection, but a little distance. And what you're going to start doing is you're actually going to start creating cords, which is interesting. And from your heart, you are going to connect a green line of light to their heart. But make sure when you're doing this green line that you have a slight hint of like a slight violet to it. So it's transmuting the emotions you're sending also. And then connect it to their heart. The next movement is the throat. And that is going to be like a icy blue or like a sea foam blue. Okay. And that line is going to go to their throat, relatively speaking. And same thing with that, the slight violet hue around that. Last but not least is the third eye. And this is where a lot of the psychic connection actually occurs. So you want to draw a line from your third eye in royal blue to theirs in the visualization altogether. At this point, talk to them. Tell them what you feel. Tell them what you think. Find understanding. Try to find forgiveness. even if it's something horrible. Tell them how you feel. Pay attention to how they're reacting within the visualization too. Is the cords being dismantled? Are they like ripping the cords out? Here you want to actually keep putting them in, because we're not yet at the cord cutting part. We're doing the release aspect of it. So we have to release these emotions, not send them to them, but we have to tell them, confront the experiences, and find understanding within it. Once we've finally done that, this is where we're going to cut those cords. Well, because we've already placed the cords consciously, and then we're going to now cut them consciously. And this goes beyond the cords that are already there. This is kind of overlaying them. And once we're done with that, take a violet scissors or a violet flame and start burning or cutting these cords that you put to have this discussion and this release. After you're done with that, see yourself in front of you, just like you did them, and do the exact same process on yourself about experiencing what you experienced, how you felt. Find forgiveness in allowing yourself to feel that way, and understand that, maybe you might have accountability too, and find that and flip it also upon yourself. Because if we're releasing emotions and mind patterns to another person, well, we should also do the same thing to us. So it's very important. Now, once we're done with ourselves and we're about to end the scene, you want to sit there for a while and go back to that deep breathing that we were talking about. But this time start seeing yourself in darker colors, like more darker colors of brown, coming back to reality and grounding everything back here. Once you're finished with that, this is the best time to journal. Journal the experience. Write it down again. That way it sticks in the memory more and it has a solidified, strengthening energy to it. If we do this repeatedly, this exercise, it dramatically works. I've had plenty of clients and people that have come to me that have used this exercise, and it has done wonders. And it's as simple as it is. But it has to come to the point that we actually confront these experiences again. We kind of relive them in our head, but then we look at ourselves from an outside perspective of it, while we're actually intermingling with the release work too. Now, to go deeper within deeper cord cutting, the next exercise that I want to share goes a little different. So in duality, there's always light and dark, good and bad, black and white, and many other renditions of this positive, negative pole of energetic forces. But in this visualization, this happens to be one of my favorite ones. And we may find ourselves in a more ritualistic setting. This is where we kind of bridge a visualization pattern with more of an aspect of witchcraft, perhaps, or even black magic, which a lot of people would say so. But we're really bringing into a zone of really where anything here is possible. So this visualization sits energetically at the lower astral level, because a lot of emotion has to be had to fully embody the reality of this visualization that's really taking place. And that is really the here and now. And we have to bring that here and now into being a very tangible, real thing. So when we first start this exercise, we want to follow what I call the basic preliminaries, which is how we started the last exercise. Balance a royal blue circle and a dot at your forehead or at your pineal gland, like a record. Then you want to place protection around you. I always say use violet. Protect yourself in that color violet. Okay, see yourself in like a bubble, basically. Or if you can visualize yourself like the center of the Vesica Pisces, even better. Next, you want to visualize yourself in a golden pillar of light. Imagine this pillar of light shining completely down to you and covering your whole body. Okay, not going into you, but on the outside. See this pillar extend past you and even into the earth. Before you, see an altar. This altar should be large. It should be, big enough for you to sit on or lay on. See this altar made perfectly of gold, as if it was made out of like the same material that a gold ring is made out of. Make sure it's shimmering. Make sure it's bright. The altar could include candles. Build this altar as you would see it. This could be from your own practice through the spirits or the systems that you work with. Build this altar mentally inside of you. Mentally light some incense. Gather other ritual materials in your head and place them before the altar. Basically, what you want to do is make a complete astral ritual room around you on the astral with this altar. Next, you want to place the object or person in violet. And then you place this thing on the altar. See them laying upon it and see the gold energy of the altar start to surround them as if it's encompassing them and enveloping them. Next, you want to connect a gold line of light from your heart to their heart. And then mentally or vocally state in a very positive standpoint, basically your own affirmation or really your own spell. You can say, I now release you, insert their name, through this altar of sacrifice and through the fire of transmutation. I release and forgive all experience, whether real or perceived, between us. And I hereby sacrifice these cords and the energetic attachments that are holding us back. And I sacrifice these experiences. All negative experiences and thoughts now dissolve. And realistically, at this point, you may do whatever mentally in this space to do the sacrifice. And that might sound bad, but this is really up to the applicant. And there is a warning with this. If what you put into it, there will be a ripple effect. So I urge people not to go at it with anger. I urge people not to go at it with hate or resentment or violence. I don't really recommend that at all. The best thing to do is literally see them engulfed within the violet flames and gold and see them dissolve completely in the visualization upon the altar. That's the proper way of doing it. And it's going to be better for your emotional state and also theirs because of the ripple back effect that would occur if you were using such a darker temperament, so to speak, if that's where you're going with it. So that is a fair warning, especially when it comes to magic. The next thing you do is place yourself upon the altar. See yourself on the altar and do the same thing. So remember, don't do what you want to do to the other person, to yourself. Because you're going to have to do the same thing to yourself. Get rid of all those specific mind patterns and emotional patterns that you see in yourself. See them burn up. Sacrifice them upon this altar. We have to understand the symbolism of the altar. What's it look like? Maybe try to draw it out. Flex your art skills and draw it out. This, if we bring a strong physical image of what we would expect, we're going to have it stronger even in the astral. So we have to understand that this is an astral technique that we form on the astral through our astral body. So everything that we do here is really going to have a ripple effect back, especially when we do it to ourselves. So I urge everybody to do this very precisely and make sure that we're, taking into consideration that do unto others as you would like done unto you. Last but not least, we have one of my favorite release work exercises. This is actually cord cutting. So when we talk about cord cutting, this is actually where we go in to start seeing the cords that, we might have put unintentionally and sometimes intentionally, and what others have done to us, and we're going to see these as small cords and little lines of light or tendrils or these fibers, realistically. Depends on how you see them. You're going to see them differently than maybe somebody else, and that's okay. And what you want to do is, of course, do the preliminaries. Do what we did before is balance the pineal gland, like we taught before in the other segments. Make sure you do your protection and your cleansing breaths, and that's going to help you align and stay centered during the process. The next thing you want to do is bring up the person that you have this problem with. It could be a person, could be a place, could be a thing. Think about the person and bring them to your conscious mind, just like you did in the interpersonal release work exercise. Now, but this time, allow yourself to open up your vision and allow the cords to start showing themselves. Pay attention to where they are. Are they attached into specific points? Are they just attached to you, like maybe on your back, like maybe your elbow? Really pay attention to what that is. And when you're looking at them, also look into how they make you feel. How are they making you think? And when you're taking note of this, analyze it, really think about what those energies on the cord really are. Once you have them down, the best thing to do then is when you see them, pay attention to color. Okay, what vibration of color they are. Do they make a sound? Keep those things in mind too. And then from there, just like we've been using violet incessantly, is take a violet flame to it. And we can thank the Saint Germain for really bringing that teaching out more in the open. And we see it through Archangel Zadkiel. We see this violet flame that is about transmutation. So if we take that violet flame to these cords, we're going to set them on fire and burn them like a wick, right? Imagine like cutting a wick or taking fire to a middle of a wick and all of a sudden it burns away. So you're also burning the cord back to them and back to you. It's separating. And that's very, very important. Now, it's not cutting them completely out of your life. It's not cutting them completely out of existence. But it is cutting that energetic attachment, that energetic line that is feeding it. So once we're done doing this, do it to just one, do it to two, do it to as many as you possibly can, but really submerge yourself in it. We have to submerge ourselves in the visualization, because if we don't, it's not as real. We have to make it real. We have to emotionally and mentally feel it. So keep that in mind. Remember, in closing here, everything we experience leaves some kind of impression upon consciousness. Everything we do. So the question that we have to ask ourselves is really, does the impression remain an open energetic circuit? Like a circuit board sending messages back and forth, this energetic circuit? It becomes kind of toxic. Sometimes it can hold you back. Sometimes it can make you feel like something's not right. And personal release teaches us to recognize that we carry so much power within ourselves to move forward and to take our power back. And interpersonal release teaches us to recognize really what exists beyond ourselves and others, and sees it from a third party outside of the actual experience. So you could look at cord cutting as ultimately the act of kind of closing that circuit or cutting off the circuit. You don't forget. It's not by forgetting. You're not even denying that it happened. But it's just you consciously moving and releasing what no longer needs to remain attached. I hope this helped you a lot. And for any more questions, please reach out and visit www.thevioletgateway.com. Have a great day.